It's not every time I get dramas like this. It's not every time that I get dramas that speak to me in some ways. I feel like I say this often, but I swear to God, I do not get dramas like this often. This is the kind of drama that just like interests me in like the world that it exists in. And so I am very, very excited to cover this next drama. So in this episode, I am going to be covering Guardians of the Dafeng, which is a Chinese fantasy drama, as well as When the Phone Rings, which is a Korean drama that I have been covering for the past few weeks. But to start us off, let's talk about Guardians of the Dafeng. This is a Chinese fantasy drama that just came out a few days ago, and it's basically about a salesman that finds himself inside a game. I think it's a game or like a book or just an alternative timeline, and he has to basically figure out things, right? What makes him interesting is that he went to police academy or something of the sort, right? So he is trained in like I guess investigation and things like that, right? So this is I guess his own cheat that's gonna help him in this new world, right? And again, I'm not sure what kind of world he's in now, but he has transmigrated into this new world. And I mean, let's be honest, Chinese dramas are never clear about this fact of what like is happening. Mainly, I think because they're trying to subvert like censorship. So you really don't know where he's at, and I'm sure they're gonna somehow correct it, or they're gonna say he's asleep or something, right? At the end of this story. But anyways, this is a wuxia themed drama, which is something I like. I think to an extent because it's more grounded than xianxia. And for those who don't know, xianxia is this genre of fantasy dramas in China that deals with like gods and stuff like that. And so to an extent, for wuxia, I like it more because I can excuse people's actions. I can excuse when people act childish, which is something I can't do with xianxia because we have to believe like these characters are century old, millennia old, and basically some of them diminutives of gods, and somehow they all act like children, right? That is always something that throws me out of like Shansha stories, that like they're not all just like extremely jaded, extremely like dead inside sociopath who just have nothing else to keep them interested, who just live life but really have no purpose because they've like gone through everything, right? And so I think that wuxia is more grounded in that, like it's people that have this cheat, have this magic element to it. They can do all this stuff, but they are still not able to like reach that higher plane of like gods and stuff like that. So I think I like it more because of that, right? And to be honest, this drama reminds me a lot of EverNight, which is another Chinese drama. EverNight is one of the dramas I really, really, really like, right? But it also reminds me of, I would say, Blood of Youth and Joy of Life, right? So these are all dramas that feature a relatively young male protagonist, right? That is introduced into this new world and has to figure out how to navigate it, what the rules are, and hopefully make something of himself, right? So that is basically the plot of this, right? I would say for me, this resembles EverNight the most for some reason. I don't know why. But I just every time I see the Lin Wang, I just see the lead in EverNight for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, it stars Dylan Wang and Tian Shi Wei, both of who I know very well. Their works are both amazing, and I think that they're gonna have really, really good chemistry. I will say that I've only watched the first 4 episodes of this drama, and so I haven't even seen Tian Shi Wei's character yet. She hasn't come up yet. But I expect that I will see her soon. Now, like I said, this is a transmigration story with a male protagonist, which I also find to be very different from those with female protagonists, right? I feel like the dramas where the female is the one transmigrating always seem to be more romance focused or more household focused, right? And that might have something to do with the fact that they are transmigrating into like a time where, guess, women are not the one with control, right? It's their husbands, it's their dads and stuff like that. So they're transmigrating into a time where it's historical, it's few women's rights, I would say, to an extent, or what women should do. And so they kind of have to work within that. And so that's why, for them, their goal is usually to like get money, which makes sense, but also like very like get a good husband and that kind of stuff, right? So that's the difference, I would say. But yeah, anyways, this is following a character as he rises in rank, I assume, becomes a guardian and fights all these kinds of supernatural beings and all this interesting stuff, right? And so I believe that his police academy training will come in handy, right? I will say, watching the first 4 episodes, that I like that we will get to see him grow. and how he's going to, get that guardianship and, become very good at what he does, right? I assume to an extent he's gonna end up being like the best of the best in whatever he's gonna do, because again, he's a protagonist. That's just the main character alone he's going to have, right? But yeah, I'm very excited to just see his journey through all these things and all these experiences. It's already very interesting, the little that we've gotten. I will say that this show, again, just watching the first 4 episodes, has amazing comedic timing, and Dylan Wang is just so pleasant to watch, right? I've seen him in a lot of things, and I find him easy to watch. I will say, like, I am one of those people that some people are very hard to watch, especially male characters, in this kind of setting, because if they are off in some way, it's gonna throw the whole story. But this, I feel like he's just perfect. He's kind of fish out of water, but he's smart and he has good expressions, I would say, and so I'm actually really, really enjoying his performance. Another aspect that I really like about this drama, just watching the 4 episodes, is that, like, kind of joy of life, I would say. It has a lot of like family moments. So it has a good family unit, and you can see that his family, right, his uncle and like his uncle's family is his strongest support. It is his strongest backing, and he loves them lots, even though they are not his real family, right? He has come to care for them a lot, right? And so you see that scene where his quote unquote cousin is being harassed, right? He goes through all these lengths to protect her, right? And so I love that. There's something about that that's just I love it so much. So I really like the fact that they're showing us that. I like the fact that they are showing us that, he's making this bond with his family, because I feel like that's the baseline before he like gets into other things. And so yeah, just very, very good. And yeah, I would say thoroughly enjoyed the first 4 episodes, and I hope it keeps being amazing, because honestly, as it is right now, if it continues in this way, it's gonna, become one of my favorite dramas of all time. So yeah, that is it on Gardens of Dafeng. Moving on right into When the Phone Rings. So for those who don't know, again, I covered this in previous episodes. Check those out before you come to this, because I think it gives you an idea of what my theories were, and what my thoughts are on this drama up to this point, right? So just to start, I would say that so I was wrong on some of my theories, but I was also right on some, right? So Baeksaun is not the child of the family. He's not his parents' kid. And to an extent, I would say he seems like an orphan, but honestly, I still think he's related to that grandpa, mainly because, again, his relationship with that man he lives with in like the seaside is also kind of nuanced. It doesn't seem like he is related to him either, right? So I feel like he might be an orphan, or he might be the child of the grandfather. Again, because I just feel like your grandfather is not the kind of person that's going to bring a stranger into his house. And also, they've mentioned multiple times the fact that Baeksaun resembles the grandfather, right? Ina even mentions this when she is in the house with Baeksaun's parents, that, Baeksaun doesn't really look like either of you. Who does he resemble, right? And so that's something I think is still going to come up in the last 2 episodes. Now, we also find out that Park Do-jae is in fact their accomplice. Despite my denial, right? I didn't want to accept that he could be, because he just seems so like trusting to an extent, and also because he just seems so obvious. Like, I feel like he was obviously the choice, right? And I felt like that is why he wasn't the choice, if that makes sense, right? But he is in fact one of the twins, and wanted revenge because I think he thinks Baeksaun, like our Baeksaun, killed his twin, as opposed to like the fish cutting Baeksaun, right? I would say that it's kind of really sad about him, because this is why I would say information gathering is important, because he worked with a terrible person without knowing the truth, because like he had such a bright future ahead of him working in the presidential office, and he threw that all away because he thought that he was getting back at Baeksaun, but really it wasn't even the correct Baeksaun. And I find it odd that, given that he'd worked with Baeksaun for so many years, he wasn't willing to give him like the benefit of the doubt that it might not be this person. So this is why I think that he should have like gathered more information before he jumped into such a terrible, act with the real Baeksaun, right? I will say I like the scene where he's fighting with the real Sound, because there's just something about that guy. He's so handsome. And that's probably part of why I was in denial. I didn't want to accept that it was the accomplice because he's so gorgeous. But anyways, it's a shame, but I'm sure they will work together to figure it out. But I'm sure he's still gonna like get kicked out of his job and all this stuff, right? So we'll see how it goes with him. But anyways, the secret is out. Obviously, that Baeksaun is not his parents' kid, and he is also Hongju's husband. I will say that this is not the way I would have wanted it to be revealed, and this is me coming to like my grievances with this drama, or like I'll say the parts that I give less points to, because I don't know. I just feel like this is not the way I thought the story would progress. To an extent, I would say I wish Baeksaun, the character, was meaner and harsher and a little more clever, as shown like in the first few episodes. In the first few episodes, he seemed like extremely, like just very powerful, right? And all of a sudden, in this like subsequent episodes, he just appears super weak, right? As the story progresses, it just like is a lot weaker than I thought, which is fine. It's just not the vibe I wanted. I wanted him to be strong from beginning to end, even though there's no character development and everything, but that's what I wanted. Who cares about character development? But anyways, he appears a lot weaker, and I would say, like, to be fair, like, he did say she was his weakness, right? And so when he goes on to the press conference and gives the statement and reveals everything, it's not as thrilling, right? It's not as like climactic. I don't know. There's something about like revealing that somebody is your spouse that I want it to be like, I want it to be Wattpad kind of like review where like the internet just finds out, right? And because again, Korea is very good at using like internet and using social media to like spread gossip in dramas, right? So that's kind of what I wanted. But yeah, that's something I'm like, I kind of dog points for that, right? One thing I will give him though is that he is super obsessed with Hongju. Like, I give him props for his obsession on that point, right? Like, what do you mean you sent your fiance the DNA report just so you could switch bride and marry the one you wanted? How devious. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I want stuff like that. I like stuff like that, right? It's that kind of energy I wanted throughout. Does it make me toxic? Maybe. But it makes for such sweet drama. Like, I don't know. I just love things like that. But anyway, regardless, as we come on to like the final 2 episodes, I want to say that this has been a great watch throughout. I might not cover the last 2 episodes because again, this is K-drama land. We know Hongju is alive somewhere, like she's gonna be fine, right? And so it's really them just dealing with the aftermath of all the like secrets they revealed and everything, right? But I feel like she's gonna be fine, right? I will say just on the stupidity of the kidnapper again, like it's kind of baffling how dumb that guy is, right? Because how do you let her have control of the car again? Like, he did not learn the first time when she put him through all that. Like, you see him acting all shocked when she drove them off the road. Like, how is this shocking to you? She did it once already. Why are you shocked, right? But anyways, that's all I really have. Before I go, I will say it's the first day of the new year, so I am wishing you all a happy new year. And yeah, let's have fun again in this new year with all the amazing dramas that are to come. So yeah, anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye for now.